awesome, great, glorious day it is. This is the day the Lord has made, and indeed we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Umubanga podcast, where we aim to inform, transform, as well as inspire. Our guest today is a business enthusiast and a professional manager in the transport and farming space. He's the managing director of Dar Farms and Transport and shareholder of King Quality Meat Products and Metro Investments, which run major farms in Mazabuka, Chisamba, and Kaumbe and manage several properties in various parts of Lusaka. He, by his closest companions, is regarded a loving husband, a committed husband, lover of smiles, and a friend to assist you with an open hand but firm grip. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we give a round of applause to Mr. Efthimios Vangelatos? Hopefully I got your names correct.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for coming through and being available to have this chat. First things first, how I read this bio of you. How did this make you feel like?
I don't know, maybe I'm a bit biased and stuff. I don't feel my bio is so appealing to a lot of people, but it's nice to see the journey and how life comes around and where I am now and from where I started. It's interesting.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so who is Efthimios?
So my name, I was named after my grandfather, my father's father. Mm-hmm. So it's not a very common Greek name, but that's where my name came from. So my grandfather passed away in 91, and I'm not too sure how to put this. So there's a Greek tradition, it's a very old tradition where sons are usually named after the father's father, the grandfather. Mm-hmm. So I was supposed to be, or my brother was supposed to have my name because my brother's the older brother. He should have been named Efthimios, according to Greek traditions and cultures. Mm-hmm. But from some circumstances, because my father lost a brother, my father's firstborn son was named after my father's late brother. So that's how my brother ended up being Alexandros, and I was Efthimios. Oh. So as you've seen on the bio, I was born in 1987. I lived all my life here in Zambia. I went to International School of Lusaka. I did my IGCSEs there and my IB. Just from there, I just continued studying. I went to Athens. I did my bachelor's in business administration. And then I went to England, in Brighton, where I did my master's of science in marketing and communications. So that's my educational side.
Okay. So how was the journey navigating life because I do understand that you were born in Zambia?
It's nice. I consider myself quite an international individual. Mm-hmm. Growing up in an international school, meeting different cultures, I felt flexible in any type of environment. So even when I would go to Greece and stuff, I still felt comfortable. But growing up in Zambia was a very nice experience. It's a nice life, I can say, in Zambia. Yep. If you compare it to major cities, it's all fast-paced, it's all rushed. Here in Zambia, it's very, very nice, very comfortable. I've got no complaints growing up in Zambia. I've got lots of friends that have come up from big cities, in Munich, in Germany, mm-hmm. Amsterdam, London. It's a different upbringing. Yeah. I remember when I was studying in England, there wasn't a lot of people that could actually drive a car in my class because, in that environment, you don't need to. Yeah. You've got public transport there, which is amazing. You've got all the buses, the trains, everything's on time. Yeah. So you don't need to drive, and everything is very well located. Mm-hmm. Growing up in Zambia, everyone drives. It's like you have to know how to drive.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So walk us through your journey growing up now with your parents. How was that arrangement? Because understanding that you're born in Zambia, were you raised up Greek or you were raised up a mix of cultures?
So whenever I used to when I was going around with my parents and we had to like introduce ourselves to friends and stuff, I always used to go around saying I'm Zambian. I still consider myself more Zambian and Greek. Like I said, I grew up here. All my friends are here. All my experiences are here. I'm Greek more so just from my parents, from them coming from Greece and all that. But my identity is Zambian. And I'm not too sure if you're aware of this, but I only had Zambian nationality growing up. I renounced my nationality and all that. And then up until 2017, where Zambia allowed dual citizenship, that's when I became Greek. So up until then, I was full Zambian, even though my name is really Greek. It would be very funny whenever you'd be in like customs in Greece and they would see my name on the passport, like, but your name is Greek, why don't you have it? Like, it's complicated. Zambia didn't allow dual citizenship, and because we had so much business here and investments, it was a big gamble. Because if Zambia were to find out you had dual, you would lose the Zambian nationality, and that was not an option we wanted. So my father was very strict on that. He's like, you're Zambian, we're staying Zambian, and we moved that way.
So was dad as well, did he renounce his Greek nationality?
No, so again, my dad was a different time. So he got a residence permit, but it's the ones they call the green card. So he became Zambian. So he had a green card being Zambian. You can't get those now. So even though he had a Greek passport, he was considered Zambian. He had all the rights a Zambian would have.
Okay. So I do understand, but right now you're running the family business, which you established. So before we go into that, when you were in school, was it instilled in you the idea that you will run the business, or you were going into school?
I was, I think, groomed from a young age that I would eventually take over. I was very fortunate when I came back from studying. Even though I'd be with my father all the time throughout the week working, every Sundays we used to go to the farm. And I used to look forward to those days. It was a very good experience for me, also a good opportunity to learn a lot of things. And it was a very good bonding time I had with my father. It was sort of like off work, but we'd still talk about work. He would still give me pointers, give me a lot of experience and background. And even now, when I drive to the farms, I still recall the same conversations in my head. And I remember all the things my father said, because he used to repeat them all the time. I never used to get bored, and he used to repeat them all the time. So they stuck very well.
Okay. So understanding that you were groomed in that aspect, so even the things you studied were in line in order for you to run the business?
Yeah, it was very general. So it was like business administration, how to run a company, and the internals of a business.
Okay. So growing up now with mom and dad, how was the home arrangement in terms of like lessons, in terms of like growth? Understanding that number one, they have to pass down culture, an identity, and then now here's this multi-million-dollar business built, and now has to be passed down to you. So another thing, so are you running the business together with your brother as well? Was he as well groomed in the same way?
Yes, we were, but I guess because of timing and circumstance, he's more focused on our abattoir and butchery. So you could say it's more my responsibility to get him the livestock he needs, and then he does the slaughtering, he does the distributions. That's all on him.
Okay.
So we provide him the raw materials, let's say, and then he does all the rest on the livestock side.
Okay. So now speaking on the business, so started with Dar Farms and then King Quality.
Okay, maybe I can give you a bit of background.
Yes.
Not a lot of people know this, and a lot of people always wonder. So Dar Farms, it comes from our family name. So in Greece, if we use my father as an example, there's a lot of people named Dimitri. That's my dad's Greek name.
Okay.
In Zambia, he was known as Jimmy because it was a very difficult name, and Jimmy is the English translation of Dimitri.
Okay.
So in Zambia, he was known as Jimmy. But in Greece, there's a lot of them. And then Vangelatos, again, there's a lot of Vangelatos. So it's very easy to mix up Dimitri Vangelatos with another Dimitri Vangelatos. So in Greece, everyone's got nicknames, or like family nicknames. So my family nickname is Daras. So my name is Efthimios Vangelatos Daras.
Okay.
So if you mention Daras, you automatically think of me or my family.
Okay.
So when my father came here, he was a blockman.
Okay.
So his experience from growing up, his father had a butchery and a small cheese factory. So when he came to Zambia, that was his expertise.
Okay.
And he started working in small butcheries until he got enough money to rent his own butchery, and he just started expanding from there. He did very well.
And what year was that?
He came into Zambia in 1969.
Okay.
And he had a lot of butcheries afterwards. I guess my father picked up that the further away you went from civilization, the more into the bush you'd go, the cheaper the cattle were. So my father used to go ridiculous kilometers. Those days the roads were terrible and all that. And they would buy a lot of cattle and they would walk the cattle back. And they would get them really cheap. I mean, he used to tell me all the time when they would sell just the offals from one animal, he covered the cost of the same cattle.
Okay.
So then the meat, the hides, all of that was clear profit. So he made a lot of good money then. And my father was, if I'm not mistaken, the first in Zambia to transport live animal on a truck.
Okay.
So he had gotten a small truck and he was transporting, because now he could go even further and bring cattle. But obviously he wasn't transporting every day. So there was a lot of times the truck was parked. And he had friends coming asking him, "Oh, Jimmy, could we borrow the truck? We've got some crushed stones or some timber." And then he saw that opportunity as well. Okay. And that's how he ventured out into the transport section. And there was a time when Kaumbe was going around and a lot of businesses were being taken away. So that time my father was a bit worried that what if they take the butcheries? So he opted at that time to sell the butcheries, get rid of the butcheries, focus more on the trucks. So if anything were like that to happen, at least it's not a fixed asset that he could move it out and still have his property. He wouldn't lose it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how he focused more into transportation. And then all that passed, and then we went back into the cattle section as well.
Okay. So in that whole timeline, the whole setup, I guess you're not born.
No. Yeah, so my father came, like I said, in 69. He did a lot of hard work, sleepless nights in cars. And then in 1984, he met my mother in Greece. Both my parents are from the same island. Okay. That's another thing that maybe I should also mention. So Greeks have a funny thing with surnames. You can pinpoint someone's origin from Greece from their surname. Okay. So anyone's surname that ends in ATOS, for instance, like Vangelatos, is from Kefalonia. That's where my parents are from. Okay. Or Michalatos, Vasilatos. Anyone with ATOS originates from that. Now, okay, people move around and spread, but the actual roots come like that. So both my mom and dad came from the same island. My dad came from the north. It was a big harbor city, and my mom came from the south. Okay. And she came to Zambia in the late 84s, and my brother was born in 85, and then I was born in 87. So it was a big lapse from the time my father came here and from the time I was born.
Okay. So we spoke on how your father groomed you to run the business, and at what point did you now take over to run the business?
So yeah, my father always wanted that for us. I remember every time when we were younger, he would always try and make us go to the farms with him. So most Sundays, if we weren't busy at church or if we didn't have any obligations, we'd go to the farms. And he'd always want to install that to us at a young age, so we'd get familiar with the farms, familiar with the operations. Yeah. And I remember when I finished my IGCSEs, I was under the impression, school's over, let's start working. And from my parents' guidance, both my parents, they were saying, no, it's good that you go for further education. So it was only because of their guidance, their push, that I went to study abroad. Okay. If it was up to me, I would have started working then, but I can see it was a good advantage to have, to go abroad, study, get that exposure, get that experience, and then bring all of that back.
Okay. So I do understand that your father passed away.
That's right. So in 2020, my father had prostate cancer. So he was going up and down between Zambia to South Africa for treatment and all that, and everything was going well. Unfortunately, he got a urine infection because of the prostate's cancer, and from going to the doctors every now and then, he picked up coronavirus. So it was a very tough time for us. So in September 2020 is when he passed away, and from that time, the workload I received was quite tremendous. It was a lot. But the good thing was I feel, God plans things in ways that we don't foresee. Mm-hmm. So all those times when my father had to go to South Africa and he was gone for long periods of time, it was sort of preparing me to say, okay, just now it's going to be only you in the office. It's only going to be you calling the shots and having to deal with everything. So when my father did pass away, I felt I was capable to run the company. I admit I would have preferred him to be around. Things were a lot better, a lot nicer, but we don't have any control with these things.
Yeah. So understanding that your father worked in different times and seasons where those Kaunda, those Chiluba, those Monawasa, those Michael Sata, was he still running the business when
Yes.
Edgar Lungu as well was president?
Yes.
So that whole transition, how did it make you feel? Because look, now you're filling in bigger shoes.
Well, I feel I'm nowhere near those shoes, so I don't have any contact with any of those people. I'm just making sure that the company's at float, salaries are paid, and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
My father, I think he would be a better person to interview here. He had a lot of stories, a lot of relations. I'm nowhere near that caliber.
Okay. So look, you running a business which has now been passed down to you. We're trying to figure out if you're the first generation or second generation.
So I guess I was the first generation born here in Zambia. So my father started everything, and then we've now taken over. So between myself, my brother, and my mother, we run everything now here.
Okay. So in terms of speaking now on legacy, because then it means that this is a legacy project. It's no longer just once where somebody runs it and then immediately they pass away, it dies as well. You're now running this. Speaking to a nation like Zambia, which you have employees and you get to notice as well the spending patterns, what their interests are in terms of even just investing, much of that isn't there. So you, who's been groomed in a way in which you were brought up to run the business, to take over and take it to the next level, what's your flow in terms of generational wealth?
Okay, I'm not too sure how to answer that. I know everything has to do with timing.
Yeah.
When my father came to Zambia, he was very fortunate that competition wasn't there, development wasn't there. So I'm not saying that it was easy, by no means. It was very difficult. But if he were to come, let's say now to start, it's not the same game. There's a lot of barriers you have to enter now, a lot of competitors. So it also comes down to the right timing. So when my father came, I feel he maximized on all the opportunities he had. Like I said, he was the first to transport the cattle on trucks. No one was doing that. Everyone was just moving them by foot. Now everyone's doing that. So it's very difficult to say what worked for my father would work for somebody now.
Yes.
It's not the same. I don't know if I'm answering your question well enough.
So, look, now you're running the business. Are you experiencing like massive pressure to keep the business afloat? Looking at the fact that the vision carrier, the owner of the vision is no longer there. Now it's been tasked to you to run it and take it to the next level.
I feel the focus has changed a bit.
Okay.
You know, we used to be the biggest transporters for KCM.
Yes.
And then KCM went through their rough patch, and business with us and them hasn't been the same since then. So I could say, as far as transportation, because of there's a lot of headaches behind transportation, and as time goes by, it feels more and more not worth pursuing that. There's a lot of running around, a lot of making sure things are on time. There's a lot of work, and you feel like now with the competition and the way the market is and the way the dollar is, the gains are not there from what they used to be.
Yes.
I remember when my father first started transporting, the goods that he used to load on a truck, they used to be 60 tons plus. That was purely goods,
Yeah.
excluding the weight of the trailers and the truck. Today, we're only allowed 30 tons. So you could think of the same trip from A to B now compared to then, you'd make double the money then.
Yeah.
So we're coming from a business where it was very profitable, very favorable. Things were with you instead of against you. Now I feel the focus, it's shifting, especially for us. We are focusing a bit more on the farming sector. So on our grain side, I feel we're doing better than in the past. We had a really good wheat harvest. This year, we opted not to plant any soybeans, and I feel it was a good decision because of the rain forecast. It's been very poor. A lot of people had planted in time. The rains were delayed. People planted in dry lands. They've lost their crops.
Yeah.
Then the rains came and everyone jumped on it thinking the rains are here now. And then the rains left. So there's people that are struggling a lot. And that's, if you look at the price of milli meal now, a bag of 25 kgs is more than 300 kwacha now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for even our workers just to carry on going. I believe even the minimum wage has recently gone up now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges that are coming up now. So as far as the business aspect, transportation for us, even though it's there, we have the capacity, we have the facility. We don't have the clientele we used to have. We don't have the market. There's a lot of competitors and they drop down the price, they undercut you. So we're trying to move away from that and try and localize our efforts, try and be more proactive, focus on things that we feel like, even real estate. I feel real estate now is getting even more lucrative. I mean, there's a lot of little effort involved and you get more gains as opposed to running a fleet of trucks.
Yeah.
So we are shifting the ball around a bit, but the transportation definitely helps us with our internal use, with our farms. So taking, like, for instance, feed to the farms for the cattle, or transporting cattle from the farms to the slaughter. For us, it's a no-brainer. We've got the facility. It's easy. We don't have to worry about that. So our transporting is focusing more now, I could say, on ourselves. We do take occasional contracts here and there, but it's nothing long-term. It's nothing permanent like we used to.
Okay. So I guess that's the business side, which gives you a lot of headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. But the farming side, I can say it's doing very well.
Okay. And I do understand majority of the areas which you farm in have been greatly affected by the rainfall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing that's affected our farming business is unemployment. We saw a big change from the coronavirus when everyone was laid off and all that. Theft, crime, and poaching has really gone up. So especially, I can say in Chisamba, we're always battling every day with the same poachers, trying to keep them out, doing what we can, involving the police, but it's a lot of, I don't know what to say. I feel like it's a losing battle. I don't know what more we can do, and we're definitely asking for more assistance from the police and from the government to help fight this, because people are hungry. And for them, I feel they don't see anything wrong if they go hunting, poaching, whatever they want to call it, so they can feed themselves and their family. They don't see it as a wrong thing. They see it as surviving.
Okay. Interesting. Your friends describe you as a loving husband, committed husband, and a lover of smiles. When did you marry? When did you get married?
So I got married in March 2020, 7th of March.
Okay. And how has been the journey now, looking the fact that you're running a business full time now, you have children, and yeah, life is happening.
So yes, I do have a son. He actually turned 2 12 days ago.
Oh, okay.
11 days ago, sorry, on the 11th of February. I don't know how to put this. I feel like I miss out a lot when I'm at work. So every day I look forward to going back to work just to spend time with my son and with my wife. So prior to having our son, my wife also works for us. She's our legal counsel. So I used to see her all the time. So I never used to feel like I was missing out on anything. But then Corona came, and then my wife became a stay-at-home mom for my son. So she's with him 24/7. She's doing an amazing job. She's a great mother, and our son is so amazing, and we're blessed to have him. We named him after my late father. So I just look forward to spend time with them, and I feel work takes me away from that. But
is he Dimitri or
yes, Dimitri?
Jimmy?
We try to steer clear from Jimmy. We prefer Dimitri.
Okay, because as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's how my dad got known here. So that's the name that stuck.
The nickname.
But people do try to call him that, and we always correct him. We say, no, this is Dimitri.
Okay. Look, there are young people watching this, and they are thinking through to say, I have my own vision, and my father has this, and he wants to pass it over to me. What's your take on that? Should they pursue their own? Because I guess you as well have dreams. And have you been able to live out most of your dreams even as you're running this business which was passed on?
I think what I can say about this is everyone's parents, everyone's father, they've gone through a lot of experiences, good and bad, some good decisions, some wrong, some mistakes. But I feel as parents, they express those to you. They explain them to you. They tell you the good that they've done. They tell you the mistakes they've done, more so for you to be more aware of them, to learn from their experiences. So my father always used to say that you're going to make mistakes. Everyone made mistakes. My father made many mistakes, but it's how you go past the mistakes. So if anyone's coming in the same scenario where I was from, taking over a family business, you definitely have to listen to your father, and all the things he tells you, take it as gold, because no one is going to give you that information.
Yep.
That insight it's valuable. It's no one else will help you. Right now, I've lost that because my father's not here anymore. But I feel that I spend a lot of time with him, and I managed to learn so much from him, which until now, it's done me well. So people in the same scenario, they have to listen, take in their advice. At the end of the day, it is advice.
Mm-hmm.
And they are still going to make mistakes, but that should not hinder you from anything. You might have a different vision from your father. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And you just have to use your best judgment to try and balance to see if what you want to do, is it sustainable? Do you think it's going to be something worthwhile doing it? Or do you want to follow something that's been handed over to you, that all the nooks and crannies have been worked out and everything is going smooth? Mm-hmm. So my advice is listen to your parents, take in all the information they have, because at one stage in time, you're not going to have that option anymore. And then I don't want to say that you'd regret it, but then you can't do anything about it. You can't change it. You can't bring it back. Okay. So listen to the valuable information, and try and use your best judgment from what life has taught you. What's the way forward? I feel there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess the only wrong answer is if you're not a hard worker. If you think everything is going to be spoon-fed to you or given to you on a plate, then you're in for a big ride. You have to put in the effort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I came back from studying, because I came back to Zambia in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
I only met my wife after such a long time because I had this mindset thinking that I'm young, I'm able, I'm fit. Let me put all my efforts, let me put all my energy to help push the company, to help grow and help expand. And then later, once everything is developed and grown, I can settle down and relax.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my mindset. You'd never see me out that I was more on the work side. We at Dar Farms, we work Monday to Saturday. Saturday is a half day, and Sundays I'd go to the farm. That was like the
Your
Bible.
lifestyle.
I would always do that.
Yeah.
And before meeting my wife, I used to go to the farms also for like long periods of time. Sometimes I would stay on the farm for 3 months or maybe a couple of weeks, come back to Lusaka. I'll do like stock checks. I would go through the cattle, make sure everything is in order. All that took a lot of effort, a lot of time.
Yep.
And once I met my wife, that started reducing. At the time, we were just dating. So the gone away for months became weeks. Then we got engaged. Then the weeks became weekends. Then once we got married, the weekends became just a day. So there would be times I would leave Lusaka, go to Chisamba in the morning. I'd be there in the farm 7 o'clock. I'd be back in the evening again. And now that we have a son, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
We've come to a compromise that when we do go to the farm, I take my wife and son with me. So yeah, we take my son Dimitri there. He loves it. He likes all the tractors. He likes all the sheep, the cattle. He really likes it.
So are you as well preparing for him?
Yeah. He's definitely going to get familiar with how things work. And then when the time comes, it's up to him to decide what he wants to do.
Okay. So in terms of king quality, the butchery side of things, so is it like a wholesale type of arrangement or it does retail?
Okay, I would say our main focus there would be other supermarkets and butcheries. That's the majority of our operations. I guess because of the location being an industrial area, it's not easy to get a lot of walk-in customers.
Yes.
And we handle and we deal with choice meat as opposed to standard meat.
Okay.
So the majority of markets of the consumers in Zambia, they opt for standard because it's more affordable for them as opposed to choice. So we don't get a lot of walk-in customers. We wouldn't get somebody that comes in, oh, can I have a T-bone or something? So it's usually big orders and we send out the delivery trucks in the morning. So that's the main operations there.
And then metro investments.
That's the real estate aspect of the site. So
Okay.
we have quite a few properties that we rent out in Lusaka. We've got apartments, flats, and houses.
Okay. That's that's a whole portfolio.
Yeah.
And I guess it's still growing. And I was well informed that you are keen on mentorship and training people. So how does one get to...
I'm not too sure. I wouldn't classify it like that. But if we were to employ somebody that would work for us, and if they're fortunate to be working, let's say at Dar Farms where I am, I will spend the time and explain everything to them and teach them things they wouldn't know and things my father taught me, just to broaden their knowledge and pass on what I've been taught.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess you'd have to be employed by us to get that opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I guess now that because this is going out to the public, so if somebody meets you at the mall, so like, hey, I want. So yeah, So what's your morning like routine? What's your daily? How does your day look like on a normal?
So we open up the office at Dar Farms at 8. So when we get there before 8, we open up, the guys come in, and then Monday is usually our busy day because of coming back from the weekend.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things we have to get in line. There's a lot of orders we get from our farms, what they need, from feed to medicine to spare parts. And then we also have, the wear and tear of our own fleet and vehicles. So we do have like our own mechanics and workshops, and we try and keep everything in-house as we can. I could say our fleet is quite old, but by design.
Yeah.
It's intentional. So our majority of our fleet are Mercedes-Benz Powerliners and V-Series. So all of our workers at Dow Farms, they know those inside out.
Yeah.
Everything's familiar to them. There's no funny spare part they've never seen before. There's no electrical thing that they can't sort out. I guess that's our advantage.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we try and keep everything internal. So my rest of the day, it changes a lot. It depends what happens. I might have things to attend to at the real estate side. I've got a lot of meetings that I go to. So when my father was around, I used to be more on the operations side. If I was in Lusaka, I'd hardly leave the workshop. I would be making sure whatever trucks come, they could leave out as fast as they can, because we understood that the less time they spent at the workshop,
Yes.
the more money they would bring. So I would get people organized and push them. Now that my father's not around, I can't do that. I'm needed in the office. So I do go out occasionally, but it's not to the extent that I used to when I first started working at Dow Farms. So there's a lot of managerial aspects we have to do in the office, make sure things are like we're paying our suppliers, make sure we have the salaries ready on time. There's all that stuff that I didn't have to worry about, but I now have to make sure all that's there.
Okay. What's your current favorite song?
Song.
Yes.
I have no idea. I'd have to go with a song my son sings. So we try to let Dimitri listen to quite a lot of gospel music. So there's a song called I Surrender.
Okay.
So he's only 2 years old, but he knows the chorus. So every now and then he would sing that song. And right now, that's the song stuck in my head. As opposed to the gospel music, there's a lot of kids songs like Baby Shark and all those.
Of course. With
I wouldn't
billions
say-
of views.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's stuck in my head sometimes.
Well, because it makes play easier. So,
Yeah.
what's your current? Are you currently reading anything or any book which you read which had significant impact on you?
There's a book my wife got me, but I haven't had the chance to pick it up. It's by Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
I think it's called The 7 Rules of Life, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken. But I understand it's a very good book, and I definitely want to find some time to read that book.
Awesome. Any last words you'd want to share or something we didn't touch on?
No, not really. Not that I can think of. We've mentioned my son, my wife. I had an amazing upbringing. Both my parents did an amazing job. We went to the International School of Lusaka, which was a really great school. I've made friends here that last a lifetime. I've had so many opportunities thanks to my parents, studying, going on holidays. No, I can't think of anything, just that we need the rains now. That's the only thing I'm thinking
Yeah.
about at the moment. This heat is putting us back.
Only the northern part of Zambia is enjoying
Yeah.
the share of the rains, yeah?
I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to ask, but like I said, my life doesn't really have a lot of highlights. We did start a football team in 2001.
What was the name of the football?
I think it had 2 names. A lot of people knew it as the Dow Farms Academy,
Okay.
and then a few people knew it as Lusaka Soccer Stars, but that never caught on. It started in 2001, and then I had left for studies in 2006, which I left the team with some of my friends, and then eventually it just died out.
Well, here's your chance to revive it and treat it as what? CSR, corporate social responsibility.
Yeah, maybe when my son's a bit older, we can
Yeah.
have a look into that.
and make him a full-time player. So if he makes it, there will be now a battle to say, does he play for Greece or does he play for Zambia? Like,
Yeah, he'll have to decide that what he feels he's more, I guess.
yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much for this awesome, insightful conversation. And all the best even as you continue
Thank you
running
very
the
much.
business and taking it to the next level. So yeah, great to hear that we have businesses which are running, and because we want to see more legacy businesses. We just shouldn't just see them in the Americas and the Europes, and we should be able to see them locally here thriving and getting big and big and bigger. Of course, visions now do change. As you mentioned, that the transport side of things is evolving because times have changed now. So, yeah, thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome, thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Umubanga podcast with me, Dennis Mubanga. Hopefully you've been greatly impacted. Hopefully you've picked up amazing insights from this conversation, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.